Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review Season 1 of the Guardians of Justice, and this is a new superhero action-adventure series from Netflix, and it is a very unique approach to the superhero genre, with a story about a group of troubled superheroes who must try to figure out a terrible situation when their seemingly fearless leader self-destructs and puts the world into a spiral. And this series really sets the tone by opening up with like the equivalent of like their Superman winding committing suicide, played by Will Yoon Lee, who it really just sets the tone for this darker and more rugged approach to this comic book genre. And what's interesting is this series is shot in a unique way that makes it look very stylish, but also campy, and a bit, you could tell like this probably didn't have the world's biggest budget. The approach that it has, it reminds me of like Kung Fury and stuff like that, where it's just like, I think it's trying to be this way and interesting and different and unique, but it does have a really low budget look to it, and not all the actors are the strongest either, but it has a very interesting dynamic and approach to, say, the Justice League story, and you have this Superman-esque character who kills himself right away, and you're left with Nighthawk, who's played by Diamond Dallas Page, the professional wrestler, who's this older, rugged, Batman-esque. It actually really looks like Birdman from movie Birdman, and he has the rest of his team, and the cast is an interesting mix of people I've never heard of, and some of them feel a bit amateurish actors. There are some recognizable faces. I wouldn't say like strong actors, like Denise Richards is here. You do get a little bit of Jane Seymour, which was interesting. But this film is, and this series is anchored on a pro wrestler turned actor, I guess, with Diamond Dallas Page, who I think he does a fine job at the core of this film, in this series. And this is 7 episodes, 20 to 30 minutes apiece, and it tells an interesting spiral of a story with some darker twists and turns along the way. I do feel like the story in general feels a bit derivative of some other, it feels like it borrows stuff from like Watchmen and some other darker comic book stories in how it executes its narrative. But it still does deliver there's some emotional moments, there's some exciting moments. I do think the interesting mix of animation which makes sense from creator Adi Shankar, who works on the Castlevania series, and you have even though it looks campy and silly sometimes, it does have a unique and interesting look to the series. It does make it feel different, it makes it stand out, but you could tell that this is like a lower budget, kind of campy, kind of weird approach to these types of stories. It's very much rooted in like campy 80s look to it. The music, even like the title cards and stuff like that. It's crazy. It goes there, and it's a fun ride. I don't think there winds up being as much substance as the series would like to think that it has, because it does kind of get overly serious about itself at times. But, I had some fun with it, and it's only 7 episodes, and they're at most a half-hour piece, so it's an easy burn-through. But I think it has potential to get pretty interesting if they go even bolder with some of the stories and stuff like that. It does have an interesting collection of characters. It's just not sure they have the most up-to-the-task cast to go along with it. But in general, this is a interesting, weird little hidden gem there on Netflix. There's just so much content. If you're interested, go check this one out. But those are my thoughts on Season 1 of the Guardians of Justice. Let me know what you think, and let's talk some TV. But thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland reviewer.